to respond. Listening to God requires us to respond to God. So when we hear God, God is wanting us to take an action. That's why he says, "Hear, O Israel. Today, if you hear my voice, harden not your heart." But when we listen to God, God says, listen, listen. That means we are to be still because God has something to say. If you're joining for the first time, my name is Dr. Deborah, and I'm here to talk to you today about how to listen to God. How to listen to God. So if you see me looking down, I have a few notes so I can stay focused. The first way to listen to God is through your spiritual senses. Through your spiritual senses. That's going to be the primary way God speaks to you. God speaks to us through our spiritual senses. So what do I mean by that? Well, God is a spirit, and he says those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So the spiritual senses are comprised of three things, and I talk about that a little bit in the book, The Scribe or Watchman. He talks to us through our eye gates. This is our vision. This is how we see. This comes to us through dreams and visions, through pictures, through objects, through journaling is one way, because you actually see the letters taking place. The other way is through our ear gates. It can come through people speaking to them. It can come through music. It can come through the radio. It's through the sound waves, the senses of the sound waves. The third way is through our feelings or our senses, how we taste, we can smell, or sometimes that gut feeling, that intuitive feeling, that knowing of something good is going to happen or something is not right. So those are the three ways. So in dreams and visions, it's a really interesting way, because when he comes to you in a dream per se, you have to understand that the dream that occurs may require you to do some interpretation, as in the vision. When you see or listen through your seeing aspect of you, it may require you to do a little bit of digging. It may not be straightforward. If you have the trance, it's going to come like in a movie-like form. Remember Peter, when the sheets came down and there was meat on it, he said, "I don't eat meat." It required him to interpret what God was saying. Through our hearing, you may be asking God for something, and then you have to listen for his response. And he may speak through a conversation. I know once I was asking God about a decision that I needed to do. And it came in the form of a conversation. I'm walking into Walmart, and there's these two ladies, and they're basically talking about the very thing I was asking God about. So it can come through conversations. It can come through maybe somebody is you have a friend and you just happen to call them, and they may say something out of the ordinary, and it's in response to that answer. So it comes through your hearing. You have to hear, and then it requires you to take a response. If you're listening, you're waiting for God to respond to your inquiry, whatever you're asking him about. In your senses, sometimes you may want to go and take a trip, but you're hesitant because something is saying, don't go right now. Cancel the trip. It's not time. Just wait. And sometimes you may have things invested, like you may have finances invested in the trip, but there's just something in your spirit that says something's not right, and you shouldn't go. And when you respond to that sense, or you listen to that voice, or you listen to what God is saying, you will find that you maybe avoided something that could have been detrimental, or you avoided some type of trouble, or the timing wasn't right and you got a better deal even. It doesn't necessarily have to be something bad. So just to repeat, when I'm talking about listening, this requires you to be still to respond to God. You're waiting for God to respond to you. But when God says here, he's wanting you to respond. And the three ways he's going to do that is through your senses, your spiritual senses. God is a spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And the three ways will be through your eye gates, your ear gates, and your senses. So take the time to find out how God is speaking to you, how you are going to listen to his response when you ask him a question. So until next time, this is Dr. Deborah signing out.